All right, hello, Robert. So we're gonna start. We're gonna talk about Batman Hush.
Batman Hush? You mean like one of the worst movies I've ever seen?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but sure, we'll go
It's
with
terrible. It's
it's
literally a
really
terrible
bad.
movie.
I mean, it's pretty bad, but it's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah. So, if people don't know, they just released a Batman Hush animated movie based off the comic book, loosely, very loosely based off the comic book,
Very, very loosely.
very loosely. It was terrible. It was so bad. It was so stupid. There's some things they got right in that movie, but for the most part, the overarching theme is pretty bad.
It's not great. Not gonna lie.
Um, I don't know about you, Trey. I know I read the comic. Did you read the comic?
I did not read the comic. No, no.
Yeah.
I
So
actually I came in with
I'm
fresh
actually kind of
eyes.
interested. Yeah, I'm kind of interested because I have this whole theory that about taking a piece of work, like a piece of fiction, from um, a book, is if it's a novel or comic book, and transporting it to a film, animated or live action. 95% of the time, the book is always going to be better.
Uh,
95% of the time. So I actually want to see somebody who did not read the original material. I want to hear your opinion on it. What do you think?
so I do agree with most of that, which is most of the time it is not as good. There are, I mean, there of course are a couple exceptions, but none that I can think of. But not reading the comic and like looking into the comic after I watched it, the comic does seem a lot better in the sense of the drama it has. Whereas the
No, it's like way better.
yeah, I would say way better. Just because when I was watching the movie and after finding out kind of a lot of the stuff from the comic, it does make sense on why the movie did it the way they did. But I do feel that they really trying to surprise the viewers who have seen the comic. It tramples on this story itself.
hmm So what? So just give me your thoughts on the movie while you're watching it. What were you thinking?
So initially, I was actually really excited to watch the movie just because of the fact that it was another movie I have never, like, the storyline I had never even heard of. Um, and so when I was watching the movie, I kind of pieced it together on kind of what was going on. I was in the shoes with
hmm
Batman, as you will, but I'm not gonna lie, I kept getting confused with the way the story was going, just because it did follow many different avenues that I've always wanted the Batman movies to follow as well as not follow. For example, they do bring back Batwoman, and the dynamic that Batman and Batwoman have is like probably
Batwoman.
yes, Batwoman or Catwoman. Sorry. The dynamic they do have is one that I've always enjoyed from the two characters, and I feel that they do take it in a fresh new take.
So yeah, that's in my opinion. That's only one. That's one of the good things they did do in this movie. The chemistry between Catwoman and Batman in this movie was amazing, in my opinion. They did a really good job of doing like a deep dive into their relationship.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
Bat family, I like how the Bat family was reacting to Catwoman, and how they reacted to her, and their thoughts about her. I thought that was really cool too.
So I liked it. I feel that they should have. It felt weird. For one, I have no clue where Batwoman was in all of this.
Catwoman,
And I don't know if Batwoman's actually in this universe. I'm be honest, I forgot.
Batwoman,
But also,
like the real Batwoman. Or
yeah,
are you so confusing Catwoman?
because
Batwoman, she
they
technically is. Did you watch Bad Blood?
so I did watch Bad Blood, and I know that they have I can't think of her name, but Batwoman, like, with the red hair.
Mm-hmm.
And there she wasn't in this movie at all, which I was a little sad about. But I just do mean Barbara Gordon, Batwoman, Batgirl.
Mean Batgirl.
Yeah, I don't know where she is in this, but nonetheless, all of their interactions.
What do you mean by that? Because she did make an appearance.
But
she did make an appearance at the very beginning of the movie, towards the beginning of the movie.
Okay. But still, even without her reaction, we never got Batwoman's reaction, as far as I'm aware. And on top of that, Damian seemed a little distant, I would say. And I know that with all of the movies they've set up that Damian is not with Batman currently. So we do know that Damian is currently with the Titans, the Teen Titans, because Jew's contract just came out, I think this year.
Was it
and
this
so we
year
know.
Or was it late last year?
I don't remember if it was last year or this year. I thought it was this year, but I could be completely wrong about that.
It might have been early this year.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But so the interaction that they had together was okay, but I felt like they should have done a little bit more with that. But I loved Nightwing's interaction, and at the end,
yeah, Nightwing's great.
Yeah,
he was great. I love the voice actor for Nightwing.
He's a very good at voice actor. Probably one of my favorite voice actors from the series that they have going on with all of the superheroes, because they have the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. I believe they're all tied together in a collective universe.
Yeah, it's like this new 52 universe they're doing for the animated movies.
Yeah,
which I really like. Oh, I like the universe aspect of it. The execution on a lot of the movies isn't great, but the overall universe is kind of cool.
They've got high moments, but you're absolutely right. The entire collective of them all is a little lackluster. But with that still being said, this movie was probably one of my least favorites out of the entire set of movies, just because I liked Judah's contract. It was a little weird, but with this one, it was like I liked the relationship between Batman and Wonder Woman, and Dick was there. Like
Catwoman?
Yeah, Catwoman.
God damn, Trey.
I know, it's bad. Like, that's all that I can really say that I really enjoyed, in a sense, from the movies itself. That was honestly about it. I can't really say anything about Alfred, just because I didn't feel like he was there for most of the movie. Like, he was around, but he really honestly wasn't. How did you feel about Alfred?
I thought it was fine. The movie wasn't necessarily based around Alfred. There was no need for Alfred. I think he played his role right, and he gave his opinion for Bruce, because he wants Bruce to be able to get in a relationship and be happy. So of course he was completely on board for him dating/getting with Selena,
right?
Which is pretty cool. And that's always been Alfred's MO per se. He just wants Bruce to be happy. I
can agree with that, because you really see it, and when Alfred had told Bruce in like the beginning of the movie, when he met Thomas, which was pretty cool, because you could see that Alfred was like, you should for tonight. They got it, but of course Bruce didn't.
Let's actually get into the storyline a little bit without spoiling it. How did you feel about the writing of the movie?
I don't know. It felt so the pacing of the movie itself was weird. I feel, because
I thought it was terrible. It was terribly placed. It was so rushed. It was
very rushed. Like, and there's something. So in the beginning, there's something that happens to Batman, and it's a pretty significant thing. And like, that is a good 5 minutes of the movie, and then they just kind of move on. The setups they had, which, I mean, I was intrigued in the beginning for all of the villains themselves in every situation.
Right. That's supposed to be one of the cool parts of this comic / adaptation. Batman gets to battle all of his villains. Yeah,
and that was interesting to watch. Point. And then they really rushed through it, and I was like, oh, okay, movie, this is how it's gonna go. And so it it felt, I would say, rushed.
Correct. Yeah.
But with that
And
being
by
said,
doing that, no, I was just gonna say by doing that, he fought some villains and he beat them relatively quickly, and that quote unquote decreases the value of that villain because Batman beat him in like a minute. Well, how is he supposed to be strong? How is he supposed to be Batman? The next time they fight, Batman just beat him in a minute. It decreases their value to the story.
It really does, because there is a villain in the beginning of the movie that's like you're like, oh dude, Batman's screwed. Again, you're right. He beats him in 2 seconds with a kid's help, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like, doesn't the kid help him?
Not that I believe. That was kind of stupid. And that's one of the things. Like, they changed. Kind of a tangent, but they changed a lot of things from the movie to the comic. Obviously we can go over those when we get into the spoiler section, but I didn't like a lot of the changes they made from the movie.
I can see that.
Comic. And I do understand from the standpoint that changes do need to be made from like a selling standpoint. They want to use more quote unquote known characters to pitch like the general audience. But I think some of the changes are just terrible.
Yeah. With that being said, though, the movie kind of markets itself as more of a detective movie. Do you honestly feel like it was a very detective-y movie?
Oh, no. It was terrible. No, it wasn't detective at all.
I can agree. Because it really felt like it all came easy to Batman. It was like all the detective work really kind of came to him.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I feel like it was just like, oh.
He was very passive.
It's like, it didn't show us how we got to the conclusion.
Yeah.
He just told, it's the whole thing about show me, don't tell me. They told us the conclusion without showing us how he got there. So it's just kind of like, oh, how did he get here?
Right.
How do we get to this point?
It really did not feel satisfying at all. And I mean, I frankly was confused at the end. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was super confusing.
This doesn't even make any sense.
It felt like they just like made something up at like the last second just to make the movie work.
Yeah, it did feel like it was made up last second. With that being said, though, so there is something that happens. How did you feel about, so I'm gonna say it, the Joker is in the movie. How did you feel about the scene with the Joker?
It was whatever. I thought I actually kind of liked it a lot, honestly, because you get to see the Batman toe the line of his moral code, which comes into play later on in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
His code about not killing people, not killing villains / criminals.
Yeah.
And the funny part about that scene is, if Batman would have let's assume Batman would have killed Joker right there, he would be killing Joker for no reason.
Yeah.
Because
literally no
Joker
reason.
Didn't commit the crime.
It would have been so weird.
Spoiler.
All right, yeah. I think that.
But yeah, it would have been a lot more interesting. Okay, then Batman would have to not only deal with him breaking his code, but him killing somebody for something they did not do. And Joker, the funny part was Joker was telling him, "Oh, this is hilarious. I didn't even commit this crime, and you're beating the shit out of me."
I think that would have made the story a lot better. I agree.
No, so here's the thing about that. It would be interesting to see what would happen if Batman actually did kill a villain, like the aftermath. What would happen to him? Because the thing Batman always says, if he kills one person, aka the Joker, if he ever kills a Joker, that means he's gonna go basically on a killing spree and just kill everybody. He can find a reason to kill everybody, which is kind of flawed in a sense, but that's his like mindset. If I kill one, I'm gonna kill everybody. But it was just a cool. I thought that was actually really good. It was just a cool way of showing his moral code.
It'd be like a different version of
explaining his moral
Injustice.
code to like a newcomer, or the general audience.
Yeah, which I feel like this movie tried to market itself to the general audience, but also it tried to leave something for, the hardcore audience, the audience that knows and has watched, but it really did not land.
Yeah. Like, once again, it was just rushed poorly, written poorly.
Yeah.
And it's very sad too, because it's actually the source content, the Batman Hush comic book, is actually written and drawn extremely well. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was originally written by Jeff Loeb, and it was drawn by Jim Lee. I think. Hold on, let me Google that real quick because I don't want to get that wrong. But it's extremely good. It's one of those comic books I would say to people, if you're a big Batman fan, that's one of the comic books I would say go ahead and go read, because you're gonna have a great time reading that comic book.
I mean, I'm gonna need a couple years before I read it, just because that movie really ruined me. Okay, awesome.
No, I guarantee you're gonna have a ball if you read that comic book right now. Now, like, not only, like, if you go look at the artwork for that comic book right now, in my opinion, Jim Lee, did I say his Jim Lee? Jim Lee? Whatever. He's a really good artist. And he's probably my favorite artist. And the pictures in that book are beautiful. It's beautiful. And so, it done so well.
Right. Okay.
What else?
So you would recommend the comic over the movie?
Yeah, by like a landslide.
I figured. I mean, that's kind of what we're going for, but
like,
just thought
this
I'd ask.
This might be like a top 15 Batman comic all time.
Oh wow, top 15. Okay. So then, where would you rank this movie?
This movie?
Yeah. Here, we'll make this easier. Top. Or what is your least favorite Batman movie out of all of the Batman movies that are out there?
The animated, or just like in general?
I'm gonna say in general.
In general,
not including Hush, of course.
Batman Forever is pretty. I think it's Batman Forever.
Batman Forever. Okay. So then, where does this compare to Batman Forever for you?
It's
like, if Batman Forever is
Batman
a
Forever
1.
is just corny. This is really corny. This is just like bad, in my opinion. It's not. So here's the thing. It's bad, and it's rushed, and it's written poorly. And I don't like the voice acting for Batman, but it's still competent to a sense. So it's not terrible. It's not like the Fantastic Four movie, the one with Michael B. Jordan. It's not like that. Well, that was just incompetence at its like, finest. This still had some sort of competence, and it's had some sort of. It seemed like they knew what they were doing. It was just poor execution.
Right.
So it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's not good either. It was just it's a movie I would call very disappointing, because especially since I had such high hopes coming into it, and it coming out so bad. Because I watched this movie without watching any type of reviews or anything for it, so I had literally high hopes coming into this movie, and I was disappointed from like the start. Really.
I can agree with that. It was very disappointing. We'll go with.
Kind of off topic, but I do have to say this. How do you feel about the two voices? The voice actor for Batman. I do not like his voice at all.
So it feels weird in a sense that I'm with you. I don't necessarily particularly care for him. It might partly be because of the fact that I didn't grow up with him. Like, I mean, sure, we kind of watched a couple of his movies in the universe itself, but we all have an idea of who our ideal Batman is. And
right, obviously, mine's Kevin Conroy.
Absolutely.
So, because like when I actually like sit down and like read Batman comic books, that's the voice I have in my head.
Yes, I would say probably a majority of people would have that as their voice. I mean, of course, there's always going to be exceptions, but I mean, that is, especially for the animated. Just so with that all being said, I don't particularly care for him, but at the same time, I'm like, some kids are going to grow up with him being like that. That's our Batman. So in a sense, he's an okay Batman, but I don't particularly care for him.
I don't think he's okay at it. My biggest problem with him is he's so monotone. Like the whole movie, he's always monotone.
He is very monotone. I
like
feel.
It's like he doesn't want to be there. There's no emotion whatsoever.
Right.
Even an emotion. Like there was a couple kissing scenes between him and Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like emotionless.
Yes.
Like, did you really want to kiss her? Because you're saying that you did. Your actions say that you do, but your voice says you don't.
Yeah, and the voice doesn't say that I want to kiss you, which was weird to watch. I was like, all right.
And he doesn't come off as a playboy, as like a playboy billionaire. His Bruce Wayne is terrible too, because it's the same exact voice.
Yeah, because so like I watched the Gotham series, and the way they did the billionaire part in like the later seasons was actually pretty decent, I feel. But with this, I feel like none of that is there. I feel like he doesn't know how to be a playboy, with a couple exceptions.
Yeah.
Of like in the other movies, and I'm strictly mainly talking about this one, but I want to clarify that I'm not talking about any of the other ones. In this one, he has like no scenes where he's a playboy, like at all. It feels like it was just. But he was still
just like a bad Bruce Wayne. Like when him and Selena were just talking, and he was supposed to be Bruce Wayne and not Batman.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, okay, you say that you're happy with her and whatnot, but are you really? Because your voice doesn't say so. Your actions don't say so.
It was all around very strange.
Yeah. Overall, did not like the movie. I would say if you're planning on watching it, just go ahead and skip it. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Just go ahead and buy the comic book for like, I don't know how much it goes for, like $15, max $20, and just read the comic book and have fun with that. Because this was not worth your experience, unless you're just not even worth, and you just like want to watch it. But it's not. You're gonna be very disappointed.
Because that was my next question for you: was if you didn't pay anything for it, would you still have watched it? Would you still recommend it if it was for free?
After watching it, so here's the thing, I did watch it for free technically.
Because I believe you have the DC app, right?
I'd rather do something else than watch that movie. It's not worth your time. Because you're just gonna be, like I said, you're just gonna be highly disappointed.
Even if you do have the DC app, don't watch it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you have I mean, it depends. If you're like a casual fan, I wouldn't go watch it. If you're like a hardcore into the DC universe, you're probably just gonna watch it because you feel obligated to. Because I feel like I'm obligated to watch it. But I would say don't skip it. Just skip it. It's not worth it.
It's just not worth it at all. Okay, I can agree with that. I mean, I love watching movies, so I would honestly never say never watch a movie. But this one is a very clear indication. It's like, I mean, if you're completely bored,
it's just my opinion. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. You gain nothing from this movie.
And I totally agree with you.
Did you want to go ahead and get into spoiler talk now? We're about like 27 so minutes in.
Yeah, we can get into spoiler talk.
Okay.
So
what'd you think about the twist?
So the twist itself, I was, again, like I said before, I was very, very much confused more than I was excited. Like, in the movie, the twist is that it's actually the Riddler. Which,
yeah, Riddler's the Hush.
Riddler is Hush, and it makes no sense in the context of the movie because we don't actually see the Riddler until like an hour in. Like, it's very much like, and even Bruce says something. He's like, so we got like our C players coming out or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't even know the Riddler was gonna be in this. But it really...
That was either Bruce or Nightwing. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was somebody. I can't remember either. Again, this movie was not great. But it was like, all right, so now they bring him in. Okay, that's cool, I guess. The Riddler's kind of an interesting character, I guess. And
yeah, but my problem with that is you can't do Riddler without riddles.
Right. And he had no riddles. I'm like, what?
And the funny part is Batman even said that during the movie. He was like, because at one point Riddler had a fake Riddler. He had like somebody playing as him, the quote unquote trick Batman.
Yeah.
And the reason why Batman knew he wasn't the real Riddler is because he didn't give him any riddles.
Yeah.
And it was just
and that was like,
yeah.
And so it was like that's how Batman knew the Riddler wasn't the Riddler. And I was like, what? I was just like, it doesn't make any sense.
It made no sense.
It really didn't.
And Riddler's reason for doing all this made no sense either. It didn't make any sense.
And so in the movie, we'll explain what his reasoning was the Riddler had cancer. So
brain cancer or something.
Yeah, brain cancer in somewhere in his brain. I believe it had something to do with the riddles, but I don't remember. And so he goes to the Lazarus Pit, and if from the last couple movies.
Well, before that, Thomas, what was his name? Thomas Elliot.
Thomas Elliot, yes.
Yeah, which in this movie is Batman's best childhood friend. He tries to go to him first because he's like this world-renowned surgeon. But Thomas wasn't able to do it.
And he couldn't take it away. So now he's left with no other options except the Lazarus Pit, which from the last movies, we find out that Ra's al Ghul is dead. So the Lazarus Pit's just kind of just there now. So he uses it and finds out somehow that Batman is Bruce Wayne. And so then
right. So yeah, that was stupid.
And I was like,
first of all, how do you find this Lazarus Pit? It was just like, oh, I went to a Lazarus Pit. Like they're just like,
it's like that explains it. It's like, oh, okay, it's the Riddler. He can just find the Lazarus Pit apparently. And then on top of that, I'm like, how did you find out like that? From my understanding of the Lazarus Pit, it's never just told somebody like, this is this person. Your arch nemesis is this person. Like, it was mind blowing.
The reasoning in the movie, they were trying to say after you went to Lazarus Pit, it makes you smarter / stronger. So he just concluded from all his knowledge, since he's basically now a genius, that he figured out that Batman was Bruce Wayne. He just kind of figured it out because he's smarter now.
I didn't get that at all. I just thought the Lazarus Pit was like, hey, this is him. And he was like, okay, I'll go kill him now. It was very much
the Lazarus Pit didn't tell him. He figured it out by himself because the Lazarus Pit gave him strength and power. And that's why they're trying to say he set up this whole situation of tricking Poison Ivy, Joker, Catwoman, and everybody. He was using everybody, and
including Superman.
He was so smart. Yes, including Superman.
Which was a crazy thing too. Not gonna lie, I was very much shocked. But yeah, so it was a lot. It was very weird. It was very dumb and weird, to say the least.
So for people who haven't read the comic, so in the original comic,
yes,
Thomas Elliot was Hush, and it was a lot. It makes more sense and it was a lot better because Thomas Elliot was doing this to get revenge on Bruce, not only because he was a bad friend, but because he felt like basically, quote unquote, neglected. And he figured out Batman, and it just makes more sense because it makes Thomas Elliot. The way they used Thomas Elliot's character in this movie, they made him. He was just like some random guy.
Yeah.
They didn't make him a main character. He just died.
He really did.
Out of nowhere.
So Joker is the one who had killed Thomas Elliot, or at least was framed to kill.
No, Joker didn't kill him.
Yeah, no, I mean like framed. Yeah, it was framed to kill Thomas Elliot, which was its own little thing. And so now we're left wondering, because I'm not gonna lie, a couple of the clues led to Thomas Elliot. Like I was very much convinced that Thomas Elliot was a contender for who the killer could be. And then they killed him, and I was like, it. So the thing about the death for Thomas Elliot is that I was not entirely in belief that Thomas Elliot was dead. When they said,
me either. I thought it was fake.
I was convinced it was just a fake out by Thomas Elliot. I was like, oh, he'll just come back. And then he didn't.
I was like, oh, that's
and it was like,
you kill yourself.
It's the Riddler.
Then Bruce would never suspect that he's Hush.
It was not good at all, really. But yeah. So Thomas Elliot, who is the original Hush, was killed by the Joker. Well, again, not by the actual Joker, but at least Batman thinks it was. And then the final scenes with the Riddler, or Hush, or whatever he's calling himself now, were very, very bizarre in the way they fought. Because it
was dumb. It was like he thought he could beat Batman 1v1 all of a sudden in a fight.
Yeah. I was like, the Bane fight in the beginning of the movie was more interesting than this.
Also, I don't like how they made Bane stupid.
They really made him very stupid.
It just made him like a big dummy. He was like, FIFA phone me break Batman. It was so dumb. It was like, okay, why are we doing this Bane stupid thing again? I thought the whole Bane being stupid was over.
I guess not. Not for Batman Hush.
And the funny part about that is, originally, so I'm just gonna go over some of the changes they made that I know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Originally, that was Killer Croc, who kidnapped the kid, and that was framed. So that originally wasn't Bane. They changed Bane out for it was Killer Croc, and they changed it to Bane.
Okay. Pretty wild, a little bit.
Which I'll give that to you. Bane's a more known character.
Yeah.
So you're trying to pitch it to the general audience. I guess the general audience wouldn't know who Killer Croc is. Okay, I'll give that to you.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Suicide Squad, the movie, which is I believe in the same universe, has said that Killer Croc was in that, and he was on the Suicide Squad. So I don't think they honestly could have used Killer Croc because of the fact that he's with Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I guess.
Again, I don't know if that's 100% true, but I believe that Killer Croc is in the Suicide Squad movie. Like the animated one. Not, of course, the live action, which is its own little beast.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic for another day.
Yeah. But, so I think they couldn't use Killer Croc, even if they really honestly wanted to. I mean, unless they explained it, but I feel like they didn't explain anything in the movie, so they wouldn't have. Like, it was...
Mm-hmm. I feel like they did a poor job of explaining things. They just kind of did things without explaining it.
They really did.
Once again, but so, the poor writing, just did things without explaining it.
So I guess we can go through from the beginning of the movie until the end, relatively, which is hitting all the big hitters. So I guess the first thing would be Catwoman is... So we start off, Catwoman and Thomas as well as Bruce are in, I guess, a gathering. I don't know what the gathering was. I don't remember what the gathering was for. I think it was for Bruce's company.
Like some type of party or something. I don't remember.
Yeah. And then he goes into Batman mode and chases... Or what is he originally finding? I forget what he was going to.
Oh, so originally, so Bane captured the little boy.
Right.
And he was holding him ransom for X amount of money from his parents.
Yes.
So Batman originally was fighting Bane to get the boy free. And once he beat Bane and the boy got free, Selina... So they were going to pay Bane, Jim Gordon and them.
Yes.
And so Batman beat Bane, but Selina snuck in and stole the money that they were going to pay Bane. And she ran off. Then Batman started chasing Selina.
Okay. And then after that, Batman gets shot, or doesn't get shot, but his rope gets shot and he falls. And at this point, now he needs
his head open.
Yeah, busts his head open. So now he needs to go to the hospital. And they of course take him to the hospital. They take him to Thomas, which is a nice, again, really no emotion in the way they talked, but it was still kind of nice.
Thomas, I want to be a better friend.
It was
now that
really
you saved me
strange.
from basically dying, I want to be a better friend. I didn't want to be a better friend before.
It felt very, I don't want to have to say it, but it felt fake, to be honest. Like, the way they interacted.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's all due to poor voice acting because he's so monotone.
I mean, I'll give it to you, but I just mean in the fact that the story element wise, it was kind of just like Bruce got in a car accident, because that's what the story was, and then was like, I need to get closer to my friends before I die. And then he was like, we're going to be better friends. Like, if I was Thomas, I'd have been like, dude, get out of the hospital first and then tell me that, because I don't believe you. Because I didn't believe Bruce in the beginning. So it was just a very strange interaction between the two, I feel.
Oh, I meant to tell you. After Bruce fell and busted his head, that's when Batgirl came in. She came in. She's the one who.
You're absolutely right. It was.
Put him back in the car and took him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what
she kind of did fight Catwoman a little bit. You're right. That's where she was.
Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
But then she's out, right?
Yeah, she like doesn't come back in the movie like at all.
Which this is the same. This is the same Batwoman or Batgirl that was from the last movie, right? The one where they did it. In a sense, they had sex.
No.
This is not from
the
that.
Killing Joke movie. The Kill Joke movie is
because it's
in its own universe. That's its own movie.
Okay.
Separate from
this
these
universe.
DC movies.
All
yeah, that was just like a standalone movie per se.
All right, that makes sense. Because I was very much confused then when I did see her. I was like, wait, hold on, what? That makes a lot more sense though. It was just, then why wasn't she there for the, see, now it's making me mad. I'm like, she should have been there for Bruce when Bruce was like, I'm going to ask all the people what they feel, and Alfred and everyone else got a say in it, and she didn't. This is unacceptable.
I don't know. They did, like I said, they did a poor job, because we know Batman and Dick's relationship. We know Batman and Damian's relationship through the other movies. But we don't know him and Batgirl's relationship. She just kind of showed up and saved him.
She shows up.
She did not come back.
And just was not there. You're right. It's just like, oh, she's a hero half the time. She's a part-time hero.
Yeah, that made no sense.
It was, I don't know. I didn't particularly care for it. Clearly you didn't either.
Me either. Yeah. It was just random.
So, that was...
Because originally in the, they go back to the comic book. In the comic book, he did like Morse code or something. I think it's called Morse code. He Morse code in a coma. So he was in a coma. He like Morse code Thomas Elliott's name.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they knew to get Thomas Elliott to do his surgery.
Right.
But in the comic book, he hasn't seen Thomas since they were like kids. In this, they made it seem like Bruce is just a bad friend and just never hangs out with Thomas, but he still technically knows him.
Right.
Because he sees them at functions and things.
Fall into an acquaintance level status with your friends.
Basically, yeah. Then all of a sudden he wants him to be his best friend ever.
Right. Which is a weird request from Batman, who we are as the viewer know that he won't follow through because he's Batman, unless he decides to give up being Batman.
I have another thing. I have another question for you. We didn't go over it yet. How do you feel about Batman telling Selena he's Batman?
So, I liked it mainly because, so I have a thought that they're going to do them getting married eventually. I can't remember what the comic is called, but the one where they do get married and then something happens and they can't. what's that comic
Mm-hmm.
called? What's the comic where they where Selena and Bruce get married, or almost get married? I
I
should
have
say.
no idea.
Yeah, so Batman Volume 7, The Wedding,
Mm-hmm.
but the whole comic is about those two getting married. And so that comic, I think they're trying to build up to, and I'll post this in the lower sections, so that that way everyone else can look it up. So I think that they're trying to move towards that, but I don't know at this point. I feel like I don't know anything about this movie now.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they're. I don't know if they. I think they're gonna eventually end this universe. I'm assuming. I don't know when they are, but they're gonna end this universe and do like a reboot, like they did in the comics. Because I know the comics, they're on the. It's not New 52. These comics are based off basically after the New 52, for the most part. Even though this comic book was written in 2005, but I
Right.
think they're going to eventually move on to what they're on now, which is I forgot off the top of my head what it's called. The series is but I think they're gonna move on to that and do like another reboot. Hopefully they do another reboot. Cause I'm kind of tired of this universe.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's kind of boring.
It is. Like I was,
Even though I am hyped for the Wonder Woman movie coming out.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I am excited for the Wonder Woman movie that is coming out, just because it does look interesting. But I feel like, again, just like Hush, I'm gonna get excited and then it's not gonna be good, and I'm gonna be very, very sad again. So like I don't know.
Well, I'm actually kind of excited because I actually have a good voice actor for Wonder Woman. Rosario Dawson, I think her name is.
She is a very
So-
fantastic Wonder Woman. I've liked her as Wonder Woman in every single outing she's had in this universe. I shouldn't say every
Right.
single, but most of them at least. She has been a very good Wonder Woman. So
Yeah, I agree.
so I
So
mean
I'm
there
excited for that.
there are a couple characters that are exciting. If I'm not mistaken, I do like Flash and Green Lantern as well in the universe. I forget who plays them. I want to say Troy Baker plays one of them. I don't know for sure.
The guy from Firefly plays the Green Lantern. I forget his name though.
Yeah, and I think Troy Baker plays the Flash. But I know who you're talking about, and I can't think of his name either. Nathan Fillion, I think, is who I'm
Nathan
thinking
Fillion,
about.
that's his name. Yeah, Nathan Fillion. He does a
Yeah.
lot of voice acting work actually.
He does.
That's really good.
He's a very big into voice acting. Very, very big and famous person.
Right.
Let me see. Yeah. So I don't know. So how do you? So I'm assuming from what we had talked about before, you're not a huge fan of this universe for the DC. But is there
Correct. It's pretty
anybody?
boring.
Is there anybody that you would put in this universe, character or actor, or any storylines that you would like? Like, what would you do?
In this specific universe?
Yes, what would you do in this universe to fix it? And
To
don't
fix
use
it?
the cop.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and don't use the cop out of Flashpoint, because that doesn't count.
Or they already did it.
I know.
So here's the thing. They've already done a bunch of comics and done them terribly. So I wouldn't give them. I wouldn't want to give them something. So here's a character. Here's a character I would want to do. There's this comic called Super Sons. That's out. That's basically Damian and Superman's son John teaming up and going on adventures together. And it's really good. So if I would have to choose something, I would choose that. I would want to see that. I want to see. I'm waiting for them to bring John to mainstream America.
Which have they introduced?
because he's still.
Have they introduced John yet?
So the only place I've ever seen John in the movie atmosphere per se is not in the comics. Is in Young Justice. He's a baby.
Oh, okay.
That's the only place I've ever seen him that's not in the comics.
So that wasn't
So
John.
hopefully they might be able to do like, He was like literally a baby. It was like
Yeah.
I forget, in season 3 of Young Justice, they had like
I don't
all
think it was
the
3. It
moms
was 2.
and stuff were. It was 2. Okay. Well, season 2 of Young Justice, all the moms got together.
Yeah, all the wives and husbands of all the superheroes, they had the secret home, and yeah, we do see John. But I mean, is Young Justice in the same quote unquote universe as this?
No, it's not. But my point is, I would like to see that brought to film,
Okay,
brought to the animated screen.
okay, I can see that.
That'd be very interesting because John is a really cool character, and he plays off Damien so well. And he's a very likable character.
Okay,
So yes, I would like to see John in this universe. Probably
is there
like 10, same age as Damien, 10 years old or so.
is there a storyline that you have in mind?
Just their Super Son storyline that was made. It's just him and Damien just playing off each other.
Okay, I see.
Honestly, what they should do, is make that like a TV series of him and Damien just. No, maybe not TV series. They can make it easily a 90-minute movie.
That might turn into Titans.
No, I wasn't thinking live action. I was still thinking animated.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
like, give them a 90-minute movie. It would be really good of just playing off each other. Because in the comic book I have, it's really cool. Because when they first meet each other, obviously they don't get along because they're so different. And
Right.
Damien literally captures John, and Superman doesn't know where his son is, and he goes the fuck off and almost like damn near kills Batman and Damien. It was great because they kind of just took his son. And Batman started yelling at Damien. He's like, "Oh my God, what did you just do?" Then all of a sudden, Superman just busts through, and their little hideout and starts fucking shit up. It's great. It's a beautiful book.
Which is interesting.
And it's like they get along. Their chemistry is like brothers. And it's just really great chemistry. It's really done really well. I would suggest anybody who's interested in that to read that book. It's called Super Sons.
Okay. Thank you for the recommendation, Robert. I may watch it. I may not.
It's a book. You can't watch it.
Or, yeah, I mean read it. All right.
Who would you add? Same question back to you.
Oof. I don't like those kinds of questions. No, I'm just kidding. I almost said Flashpoint. No, I don't know. I would. It's weird because, frankly, I want them to do something a little less, not heroic, but something of a smaller scale. I feel like the movies are doing these high-end scale like ideas and then not being able to kind of finish them off. So like not doing stories like The Killing Joke, but doing like smaller stories that we're not necessarily used to, kind of like Hush.
Talking about like one-offs?
But not necessarily one-offs. Like I would still kind of like it to be in the same universe, but more of in the aspect of just because like they have done pretty, I would say pretty bad with the quote-unquote stories they have, because like for most of them I feel like there's no real like lesson. Like in the comic for Hush, for example, the kind of like lesson in a sense is like, you know, don't just leave your friends to dry, because then they might come back and become a supervillain. I don't know, but I feel like in doing so, of trying not to to subvert the idea of the character himself as Hush, they really changed him up, and not necessarily for the good. So I think that I would like to see smaller stories that aren't overhyped, because that's really what kind of put them in this predicament.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if that necessarily makes sense.
So you want, so basically what you're saying, you want small scale stories. You don't want every story to be, oh my god, the world's about to end.
Yeah. Because in doing so, they're putting a nail in their own coffin. Because if, like you said, if Batman has to fight Bane in every occurrence that he does, and one story is about Bane and the other is not, we're not going to care about Bane when it comes to Bane's story. Because we'll be like, Batman will just take him out in 2 seconds. So I think that with them trying to make Batman seem like this excellent kind of fighter guy, I guess, they really hit the universe hard that they're trying to build up.
Right. Like I said earlier, it devalues the character.
Yeah. The character as well as the universe.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask you, do you have anything else to say that you want to get off?
Not really. Not that I can think of. Do you?
Yep. All I have left to say is this, like I said before, this movie's terrible. Skip it. Don't watch it. It's terrible. Don't support this trash.
That's right. Buy DC the app thing, but not this. Don't watch this. Also,
Don't watch this. Don't support this shit.
Yeah, 4 chickens out of a hen. All right. Well.
All right.
Thanks for watching. And hopefully you enjoyed us bagging on this movie a little bit. So that way we can do it more in the future. And if you work for DC, we're really sorry, but we just didn't like